Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Have you or someone you love been a victim of a crime that's still unsolved? Crime Curious has teamed up with one of the top private investigation services in the Indiana and surrounding area. If you have listened to us long enough, you know that we do not seek out services or products that are meaningless to us or hold no real value. So you can trust us when we say that Corbett Investigations comes with decades of experience you won't find anyplace else. Corbett Investigations is run by a former homicide commander of one of the country's most successful homicide units, has put over 400 people in prison for homicide, handled over 1,100 death investigations, and solved 33 cold case murders. To be real with you, Mr. Corbett had a really difficult time telling us what we should highlight in this segment because he does not like to sound like he's bragging. Solving crimes has been his life's passion, and he has never done it for the accolades or recognition. He has a whole team behind his services that help him be so successful, as they specialize in things like blood stain analysis, ballistics, crime scene reconstruction, and forensic pathology, just to name a few. When you contact Corbett Investigations, you talk directly with Tim Corbett. He is hands-on with every case and can travel anywhere that's needed to get the job done. Corbett Investigations prides itself on honesty, truth, feet to the ground, real investigation work, and the strength to stand up to whatever is in the way of solving the crime. Corbett Investigations specializes in complex homicide cases, sex offenses, and criminal investigations that are old and new. Tim and his team have a reputation for finding witnesses and information that others could not. Although we hope none of our listeners ever need private investigation services, if you do, we recommend contacting Corbett Investigations and mention this segment on Crime Curious for a free consultation. Contact Tim Corbett today at 574-229-8115. You can also check them out on Facebook at Corbett Investigative Services, Inc., or their email, tim@tcorbett.org. That's tim@tcorbett.org. Thanks for listening, and now on to the show. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell, and with me in the studio today is Wes. Hi,
How's
Wes.
everybody doing?
That voice, they're loving it. We've had people ask recently when Papa Smurf was going to be back on.
Yeah.
And I said, hold on to your butts, because very soon Megan is in Belize on vacation,
Yep.
so I needed a substitute, and Wes was all too gracious to accept my invite. So
Yes. Yep.
thank you.
Glad to be
Welcome.
here.
Welcome. Let's shake our gree-gree, Wes. You
Okay.
grab
What do
those
I
bones.
got? Yep.
Okay, in there you have a tiny little dinosaur named Chaz
Okay.
with a crystal egg, and he's a crystal dinosaur.
There you go.
I'm shaking the kangaroo sack with the crystals,
Oh, and
and
I've got
these
my
are the raccoon
yep,
bones.
yep.
Yes. So we get all of our good juju right from the beginning,
Excellent.
off to a good start. And before we get started, Wes, I just wanted to let you know, after the last time you joined us, there is a link in our show notes called Buy Me a Coffee, and it's for people who maybe don't want to subscribe for the bonus content but still want to support the show.
Okay.
Well, we had a lovely listener send us a coffee and say, this is for, which is to say a donation.
Right.
Send us a donation and say, this is for Wes. I'm also a police officer, and so I just
awesome.
So just so you know, that has been Venmo'd to you, and there is just some appreciation from
Perfect.
listeners who enjoy what you understand what you do for a living.
Right.
For those of you who may not have maybe not heard Wes before, he is a police officer, currently a local detective
Yes. Yep.
in our local office, and so many, many years of law enforcement under his belt, and he's still in the thick of it. So thank you for taking the time to come in and talk with us again. And enjoy.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the coffee. That gives me an excuse to go to our local Checker Records,
I know,
which has coffee and vinyl records. So
yes, it is a fun place.
Yes,
with
so
wonderful coffee.
I will most likely walk out with a coffee and a new record. So
perfect. And
It'll be
supporting a
great.
local business.
Yep,
We love it.
yep.
All right. Have I got a great case
Good
for
one.
you. This one is picked specifically. I actually did the research on this a long time ago for the next time that I had you on. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I pick specific cases for
Right.
brain bath only Jason and for Megan. And
Yep.
this one, my friend, I've been waiting to share with
Okay.
you because it's actually a hostage situation case.
Oh, okay.
And we've never covered a case like that before, so I would love some law enforcement insight
Okay.
on those, but also the characters involved. Oh, friend, you're gonna love it. Remember when I used to actually accompany you to the seediest parts of our county at like
Yes.
3 a.m.?
Yeah, I do recall that.
And I was armed with my state-issued Bic pen and notebook,
Yep.
and you had your tiny gun.
Yep.
And we're just busting down doors. No, not really. We were knocking politely, but then it would get intense.
Oh, yeah.
At 3 a.m. This is gonna feel
Like
like
that?
that.
Okay.
And the personalities are gonna feel very familiar.
Familiar.
At the very end, we're all, I think, probably gonna feel better about our lives.
Yeah.
I'm
I
pretty
do
sure.
that a lot
Mhm.
where, I'll deal with somebody and then afterwards it's like, I'm probably not as messed up as I think. I
Right.
am.
On the scale of fucked upness, I'm not nearly as far along as I thought I
I'm
was.
way down there.
Yep, exactly. Let me introduce this little man named Robert, known as Robbie, Eugene Brower, okay? Robbie, he had a hard time staying out of trouble. Actually, he was what we would call a career criminal.
Okay.
He especially liked to rack up felonies like they
Oh,
were
yeah.
trophies.
Okay.
The legal system would call this recidivism, of
Yep.
course, right? Which, if you don't know, is
Repeat
a tendency
offender.
to it's a tendency to reoffend often. And Mr. Robbie Brower, well, he liked to reoffend. But I want to paint a picture of what he was really like. He's a cross between Joe Exotic and Joe Dirt. All right? So I have affectionately, or not so affectionately, I don't know, I'm pretty fond of it. I'm nicknaming him Mr. Dirzotic. All right?
Mr. Dirzotic.
Mr. Dirzotic.
Okay. Does he have a mullet?
Oh, there's a fabulous mullet
Nice.
underneath a white cowboy hat, as a matter of fact, during these crimes.
Business in front, party in back?
Yes,
Excellent.
but classy with the cowboy
Heck
hat.
yeah.
But let me tell you, this man is no cowboy. All right, he does cowboys a disservice, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, by toting one on top of his very small head. There's not a lot going on up there. All right, this guy. By 1997, Dirzotic is in his early 30s and life is not going as he wants. Okay, he's divorced. The situation that I'm about to tell you about that he does leads to him having to sign off his parental rights to his only daughter, Brittany,
Okay.
for which he will take no accountability for. He says
Somebody
that
else's fault.
well, yeah, it's his quote. This is a quote. His dumb bitch of an ex-wife made him.
Oh.
End quote. He'd already had 4 felonies on his record, okay, for various assaults, weapons
And where
charges.
is this fine gentleman from?
Oh, we're going to get to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
He's unhappy, to say the least, and maybe his unhappiness is what leads to this situation, okay? Dirzotic gets into a fight with another man. I couldn't find what it was over, but I'm thinking it's somewhere between who wore the wife beater best, or maybe like, hey, bro, those were my pack of Marlboros.
Right.
I'm thinking.
Fight over NASCAR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's
Yeah.
the better
Who's
racer?
the better racer?
This is 1997.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
certainly, right? But what happens, and I'm going to mention, there are several witnesses that this argument happened. Okay, no matter what it may have been over. But Dirzotic engages in this argument, and then he gets into his van. He takes out a hammer, and he aggressively beats this man in the head
Okay.
with this hammer to the point where it causes the victim to go into a seizure state. He's obviously arrested.
Yep.
His lawyer that represents him for this altercation was a man named Mike Hostilo. All right. And we're going to hear a lot about Mike. Mike was a young and successful attorney in his early 30s at this time. He describes this point in time in his life as being in law for all the wrong reasons, mainly meaning he saw money and status, right? Not helping people.
Right.
He saw money and status.
Yeah.
Yep. He also liked the flexibility to golf whenever he saw fit, and he was an avid, very good golfer. All right. We'll hear from Mike later, but he admits that at this point in time in his life, I mean, he's in his 20s and a lawyer, hotshot lawyer. He's got thousands of clients. He's making bank. He says like money, he was arrogant. At this time. But even with those things being true, what Mike has here is a client who wants to claim that he's innocent when the evidence is stacked against him just to show how guilty he is. Not only did the victim live, thankfully, and could testify to the argument and being hit with the hammer, but there were many other witnesses and a bloody hammer that has forensic evidence on it. Here we are. This is what Mike Hostilo has to work with. All right?
And
a guy's like, I'm innocent.
Listen, you're guilty. They're going to convict you.
Exactly. So the legal counsel that he provides to Durzadik is that the evidence is stacked against you. And so if you're found guilty by a jury, which is highly likely, you're looking at a maximum of 20 years. And with your 4 previous felonies, the sentencing phase, so the jury, first decides if you're guilty, and then they decide your sentence, And so he explained the sentencing jury could see your, recidivism, right? And you're likely going to that's going to be a mitigating factor. And you're likely going to get the max punishment of 20 years, all right? So he rightfully informed him that if convicted during the sentencing phase, his prior bad acts are going to come out. So he advises Robbie to take a plea deal that includes 5 years in prison and then probation.
Sure.
All right? So on the day that the trial starts, Durzadik enters a plea deal, and the judge, does all of the right things. Make sure that he understands what he is signing. He makes very clear you are waiving your right to a jury trial. Yep. You weren't promised anything by your counsel to take the plea deal.
1,000 times.
Absolutely, yes. And you understand the terms of the deal in its entirety, and that you do not need any help in understanding it. Durzadik agrees to this, all of it on the record. This is very important, people, so remember this. After the sentence is set, Durzadik Robbie Brower is so enraged that he has to go to prison, that he tells his lawyer he's going to kill him when he gets out.
Oh, okay.
Now, Mike Hostilo does not take this all too seriously. He's a hotshot 20-something, and he's probably heard it 1,000 times, right? Certainly. So here Robbie is. He serves his 5 years, and I think I mentioned that he's not a large-statued man, so I'm sure it wasn't an easy 5 years in prison. We'll just say that, all right?
Robbie wasn't running the block.
He was not. He was not. And when he doesn't have many brain cells to run together, that wasn't helping him either.
Right.
He did spend his entire time in prison appealing his own plea. Okay. Trying to say that he had ineffective counsel because he claimed that his counsel inaccurately told him his prior bad acts, the 4 previous felonies, would be used against him in the jury trial, and he'd be given 20 years.
Right.
He also claimed that his lawyer promised his taking the plea would mean that he only got probation, which was not promised.
Not true, right.
No, I mean, they go over it in court before he signs the plea deal.
Sometimes people like they're like dogs. They only hear the words they want to hear, like food, treat. Yeah.
Excellent. Comparison, yes.
Yeah.
Because what he's trying to say is, what he's doing is blending the two explanations that I told you. His lawyer said in the sentencing phase, you are looking at probably getting 20 years, man, because you're a repeat offender.
Probably plead,
and he is hearing, oh my God, they're going to use it against me in the jury trial. Well, no, he's not saying they're going to use it against you to convict you.
Right.
But they're telling you when they do convict you, because the evidence is so stacked against you, in the sentencing trial, you're going to get the 20 years. This is not ineffective counsel. This is called ineffective listening skills on the client's part. Okay? So it probably does not surprise you to hear that his appeals were denied.
Yes. No.
All right.
No surprise there.
Yeah. I do want to quote. I'm going to quote from the 1998 appeal, though. Okay? So bear with me, y'all, because it's lengthy. But it gets good. This case was scheduled for trial the day Brower entered his plea. The judge intensely questioned Brower, who said he understood the maximum penalty for his offense was 20 years and the minimum penalty a suspended sentence. Brower stated he was pleading without any agreement regarding his sentence, meaning there's no backdoor deals being made. The judge explained Brower's rights, including his entitlement to counsel and a jury trial. Brower said he understood those rights. No one used any threats or promises to make him enter his plea. Brower told the court. The prosecutor stated that eyewitnesses would say Brower was in a dispute with the victim, went to his van, pulled out a hammer, and hit the victim in the head with it, piercing the victim's scalp and causing him to suffer seizures. Brower testified under oath and admitted he fought with the victim, but adamantly denied striking him in the head with a hammer. On cross-examination, when the prosecutor suggested that police would come to court with a bloody hammer, Brower again denied using any hammer, but then asked, and here's the gold, quote, "After this is over, can I get my hammer back?" End quote.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Despite his claim of innocence, Brower said he desired to enter an Alford plea rather than take the risks of a jury at which he could, quote, this is his quote, "win big or lose big," end quote. These facts show the plea was voluntary, knowingly and intelligently entered. I mean, we're stretching the word intelligently.
Yeah, intelligent.
And the trial court did not abuse its discretion in accepting it. So he lost all the appeals because his counsel did tell him during the sentencing phase that his prior bad acts would come into play. He was a habitual offender, and he's going to get the max.
Right.
So, and it was a risk that his lawyer didn't think he should take. So Mike Hostilo is, by the way, also denied promising him probation only, which it said, I mean, right there in that appeal, you could see the judge actually says, you understand your maximum penalty was 20 years, your minimum was a suspended sentence. Not to mention the terms of the plea were written and Robbie signed, and the judge asked him if he was promised anything at signing, and he said no. Okay, so everything's denied while he is in prison. Besides his appeals being denied, he's also writing everyone, and I do mean everyone, the prosecutor, the governor of Georgia, and even the president of these United States. He is writing them asking for a new trial. He wants a new fair trial. But not even the president would listen to him and would give him a new trial. They all told him to serve his 5 years and move on. Yes. God dang it, the man, right?
I have seen letters like that.
I can only imagine how intelligently it was written.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine. All right. So he does. He serves his 5 minuscule years compared to 20, right? And he's released. Now, at this point in time,
a changed man.
He didn't find God, surprisingly, because they usually do in prison, but he did not find Jesus in prison. No. He just seemed to find more anger and resentment. Okay. So he's struggling to keep a job, which means he's struggling to keep a home. His ex-wife does not allow him to see their daughter. And I'm not saying all this happened because of his convictions. Right. After reviewing a lot of the video footage of this guy, I can tell you right away, this is not someone who is mentally stable that you would want to keep employed or around your minor child either. Right. But love always finds a way.
It does.
So he can't keep a job. He can't keep a home. He can't see his kids. But my God, he finds a woman. Oh, boy. As they all do.
And I bet she's a peach.
Oh, Connie. I'm going to tell you about Connie. Her name is Connie Zako. Connie has not had it easy. I take her bad taste in men probably to be stemming from her childhood, not anything else. But while Robbie was beating a man's head in with a hammer, Connie was actually married to a man who suffered from bipolar disorder, and she often had to thwart his suicide attempts until one night she and her husband were lying in bed together, and all of a sudden a shot rang out. When she turned the light on, her husband was there, lying there, as she described, twitching. He had committed suicide right next to her.
Next to her.
So obviously Connie's got trauma.
Connie's got some baggage.
Yeah. It's strapped onto her pretty tightly. So I think that's why she looked at a man like Derzotic
and said, this is it.
My soulmate.
Yep.
I have found him. Yep. So Robbie and now Connie Brower, they could have been a happily married couple and just lived out their life, right? But instead, Robbie continued to believe that if he were just given another trial.
He hasn't given up on it.
He has not. He has
Connie's
served his
probably
5
like,
years.
you're right.
Oh, you know it. I told you this was going to feel familiar, right?
Baby, it ain't fair the way they treated you.
Yes. And the thing is that I have not shown you a picture of Connie and Robbie, but I know a million faces of people you've worked with are flashing through your mind right now. Mm-hmm.
I'm putting, I have several collages going through my mind right now of couples I have met. Yeah.
Yep, and you're so right. It's so perfect the way that you can just see that Connie is like, oh, they did that. What a miscarriage of justice against you, Robbie. I wasn't there, but I believe that you didn't pick up that hammer, no matter what the witnesses and the forensic evidence on the hammer says. And you want did you ever get your hammer back?
Did he ever get his hammer back?
I don't think so. You tell me, Wes, do they give the murder weapon back? It wasn't a murder weapon.
It would be pretty unlikely that we would give back a weapon that someone
that was used in an assault.
Yeah.
I thought probably. Okay. Do you just keep those? Is that like in your shed?
So we destroy them. We actually take them to an iron foundry, and they.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to interview one of those workers.
Yeah.
The shit they've seen.
Yeah, we take it. They basically come and they come with a backhoe or whatever you want to call it. We throw it in the bucket. They take it to the incinerator, and boom, it's gone.
And they can probably feel the ghosts of all the wrongdoing the whole time they're taking that. I'm just picturing like it screaming when it's all incinerating and stuff. So instead of just living out their what could have been a beautiful marriage, I'm sure, he decides that he is not going to settle until he is found innocent, and his record would be expunged, because then all of his life problems would be solved. They'd be gone. It is just that, isn't the 4 felonies previous to this 5th one that's caused any problems?
Keeping him down.
It is. When you've got a full hand of felonies, well, now you can't keep a job.
Right,
Let's forget about the fact that you were probably traumatized in prison the 5 years that you did. We have mental instability so bad. That has nothing to do with why he can't keep a job or see his daughter. Everything to do with just having that on his record.
Just get that one off there. Mm-hmm.
So he's angry, he's obsessive, clear mental issues presenting immediately. So I'm going to take you to Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This is January 16th, 2006.
Okay.
All right. We are in Georgia. I told you that we were going to get to it.
Yep, Georgia. Okay.
And then I skipped over the part where we got to it. So I apologize. We are in Georgia. We're a good old Southern boy.
Assuming maybe we were down south, which is not a knock because
we love it down there.
Hillsdale County, in Michigan, realistically could be anywhere in
You could
south.
Pick our county up. And you could plop it anywhere in the South, and we would blend in like we've been there all along.
Our whole lives, yeah.
Absolutely.
I believe there's a secret portal from Michigan to Kentucky, West Virginia.
Yes. Yeah. Alabama.
There's somehow they're able to just teleport.
You know what? I actually have some science to talk about teleportation. We could get there if Einstein had just lived a little longer.
Just a little, yeah.
Yeah. I agree though. So Robbie Brower and his wife, Connie, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 2016, 2006. They enter the law office of the lawyer who had previously represented Robbie, Mike Hostilo. They were wearing matching camo pants.
No way.
Of course they were.
Oh.
That's not even the best part.
I've seen camouflage at weddings and funerals.
In this looked like army fatigues only because they were cargo pants, probably sold at JCPenney for $16.99. But they had those extra pockets on the side. Okay. All right. So they've got their matching camo pants. Matching white turtlenecks with matching camo jackets. Oh, now, I'll give him this. He sprung for the whole turtleneck. It's not just a dickie.
And I wonder why turtlenecks.
I'm not sure.
Especially January in Georgia, I guess it could be chilly.
It was, but what else do you put underneath that's going to, make you look distinguished?
Right. That's true.
And intimidating. A turtleneck is intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it covers your whole, it's a condom for your neck.
Yes.
It speaks to authority.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, you are not going to mess with me.
No.
Wearing a turtleneck.
Because I am wearing a neck condom. Yes. You can't see my neck. What's under here? Right. I could have a whole plethora of hickeys. You'd never know.
Probably an ex-girlfriend's name.
Yes.
Tattooed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or a scorpion. I don't know how many scorpions I've seen on people's necks.
Why is that? I agree with you, though. I've seen a lot of that, too. Or spiders.
Spiders. Mm-hmm. Yep. Spiders.
That's a common one.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys tell me if you have one of them. What inspired you to do that? I love humans and their behavior. I want to know. So they walk in looking, intimidating as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but classy.
Yes.
I also should mention that Durzotic also has a white cowboy hat on.
Oh, I figured that. She does not, though?
She does not. Nope. So it just ties the outfit together. It's one of those little accessories. Attention to detail. I like it. They first encounter 3 female members of the office staff. The receptionist was standing in the doorway of the legal assistant's office when she heard the office door open. But before she could turn to see who it was, Robbie actually grabbed her jacket, asked where the attorney fucking was. Oh. And when she told him, Robbie pushed her to the very last office where Mike Hostilo was working. When they got to the office, Robbie had her sit in a chair inside the office door. Mike, of course, is asking, hey, who are you? What's going on? And he yelled something to the effect of, today you're going to meet your maker.
Oh.
To which then Mike's like, who are you?
Yeah, who the hell are you?
And what do you want?
And why are you wearing a turtleneck?
Yeah, and what's with that turtleneck, man? And is it a full turtleneck or is it just a dickie?
A dickie, yeah.
That's what I'd want to know. He says, I'm Robbie Brower, and 11 years ago, you ruined my life. So, of course, immediately Mike is offering to pay Brower. Like, you want money? Here's some money. Exactly. Get out of here. And he said, no, he doesn't want money. He wants revenge. Durzotic orders Mike to go stand in a corner. And when Mike kept turning around, trying to see, like, what's going on, Robbie Brower told Connie Brower to put duct tape over the attorney's mouth, and she also taped his hands.
Okay.
The legal assistant heard someone tell the receptionist to go to the back, and then Connie Brower entered the legal assistant's office and told her to go to the back of the office. When she didn't immediately comply, Connie grabbed the legal assistant's arm really, really hard and said, you better go to the back before I push you back there. Like, Connie's not innocent in all of this either, just so you all know.
Connie sounds like a pistol.
Yeah, you know what? She's been through some shit.
Right.
And she is ready to take it out on the world with her husband. So she was also holding a wrapped up package that at the time the legal assistant had assumed that it was a gun. But what we find out is that actually they were claiming to have homemade bombs. Oh. And they had packages with them that looked as if they could have been homemade bombs. And they were threatening to blow the place up. Okay?
They're not fucking around.
They're not. Durzotic made it very clear that he was willing to die for this stand on this hill today.
This is his,
it is. Like, I am either going to walk out of here with an expunged record or I'm going to die.
I'm not coming out.
And I'm going to make sure I kill people with me. Like, we're at that stage, okay? So Connie locks the office door, and she gets all 3 of the female office assistants together, essentially. And they did kind of have to, like, chase. She was helping chase these legal assistants down.
Herd them like cats.
Yes, exactly. So they're all sitting down. There is what appears to be a bomb on Mike's desk. Now, Robbie told the office staff he actually did not want them. He's not going to hurt them. He wanted Mike.
Right. That's who he's mad at.
Yep. And he was like, I'm going to release you in about 5 minutes. All right. So the women didn't feel free to leave, and the legal assistants did not believe that, this couple's not going to hurt them. After holding the women hostage for about between 10 and 30 minutes. Now, this is where eyewitness testimony gets a little bit funny, because there are 3 women held hostage. All 3 women are let go, but all 3 of them gave different frames of how long they were, because trauma will do that to your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So
something can seem like forever, and it's only just a few minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. But what happens is he does release them. They run down the street and they call 911. So that's how the police become involved. But Robbie gives them specific instructions because he knows what they're going to go do.
Right,
so he's like, you tell them that we've got I'm holding Mike Hostilo hostage. I'm willing to die for this, and that I want a new trial, and I want my freedom and my record expunged. Those are his demands. All right.
He is all in.
He is. And he's like, and you let them know that I have a bomb. I have bombs, not just a bomb. I have bombs. I am armed, I'm dangerous, and I mean business. All right? As they are leaving, Connie Brower asked Robbie Brower if, hey, maybe do you want to hold one of them hostage too? Like,
some collateral, right?
Yeah, like Robbie's willing to let all 3 of these women go, but Connie's like, maybe we should keep this cute one over here, Robbie. Yeah. What do you think? And
I want a hostage too.
For sure. And I'm telling you this because later Connie's going to be like, oh, I just didn't want my husband to die. I didn't want to be a part of this. Bitch, please.
Yeah.
You were absolutely into this.
You were egging him on like, yeah.
This was turning you on when you're like,
go, baby.
Robbie, I didn't know you were so powerful. I mean, come on.
Are they going to start making out?
No, not that I could find, but they were all amped up in there.
Like, I love you, baby. No, I love you, baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, that stuff does happen.
Does it? Okay.
But Robbie is the one that says, no, I don't want any of the women hostages. Connie wanted a woman hostage.
Which, right.
I want a pet. You have a pet? I want a pet.
How come I don't have a
pet? So they release all 3 of them. All right. Robbie Brower, Connie Brower, and Mike Hostilo remained in the front office for most of the remainder of the day while they watched the TV reports about the hostage situation. Okay. They threatened revenge on Mike. And, of course, they're negotiating with the authorities to send out their demands. Now, when we get to this hostage negotiation phone that is brought, you know how these things work. I do want to say before I forget, because I don't think I put it in my notes, they had a mic on the outside of the hostage phone.
Yes, yep.
So they can hear what Robbie and Connie are saying even when they're not actively on the phone, right? And that's where they heard first of all, they heard Robbie and Connie arguing most of the day and night.
Really?
But they also would hear just that vacillation between like, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway.
You're so brave and strong,
yes,
Robbie. Yeah,
exactly. But when he first gets on the hostage negotiation phone, Robbie is talking with a brand spanking new hostage negotiator fresh out of negotiation school.
Like he literally just got back and he's like,
mother, here I go.
I'm not ready for this.
No, exactly. Yeah. The ink
and
isn't
probably
even
somebody's
dry.
like, well, you went to a class. You know how to do this. You're like, no,
you have
I
the
don't.
certificate.
Yeah.
The ink's not dry on it yet, but you've got it.
Yeah.
This guy's name is Scott Bronson. And of course, he listens with empathy. And there's a lot of audio tape and videotape out there about this case, so you can access it.
Check it out.
But this negotiator, he does such a great job of allowing the active listening stage to happen, where he's listening to Derzadek's sob story. All right, about his life. He didn't have a good lawyer. That's why he's holding him hostage right now. He wants justice. He wants his record expunged, a new trial, his freedom. He wants to talk to his daughter, Brittany, which Scott Bronson actually said is a very common thing in hostage situations. They often demand to talk to family members.
Yes.
which can be very difficult because, like, he doesn't have rights to his daughter, and it's been 11 years.
Oh, geez.
So them trying to find her doesn't happen immediately, right? But he's demanding in the beginning that he wants to talk to her because, his bitch of an ex-wife wouldn't let him see her.
Yeah,
and,
that's the only reason he wasn't a good dad.
yes, it's because of the ex-wife. Had nothing to do with who he is as a person. Not, and I mean, as you can tell.
Anything to do with the turtleneck.
No! I mean, it's great fashion sense. Obviously, an upstanding, caring guy. He let 3 women go.
That's true. You can tell that he cares about people.
Yes. Yes, you can. He is nothing if not generous.
Yeah. And we just had one, not necessarily a hostage situation, but we had a guy, wanted felon. We chased into a house and he hid in the attic and he wanted to talk to his mommy.
Oh.
So we got mom on the phone.
Adorable.
Yeah, and she's like, get your ass down from there.
Get out of that freaking attic.
And this dude's like 40 years old. He's like, I want to talk to my mom. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And so we put her on speaker, and she goes, she says his name. She's like, what? She goes, get your ass out of the attic. So.
Oh, that's funny. It is interesting how a lot of times our unconscious mind is working things through to our conscious mind, and the one person who can talk reason into us is the one person that we say we want to talk to.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, people. So he wanted to talk to Brittany.
Talk to his daughter.
Late in the afternoon, they bring some food in. Also common in long hostage
catered,
situations.
A catered hostage situation.
It is, yep, because they demanded food.
Sure.
They were hungry.
Well, yeah, you get hungry.
Yep. And they freed Mike's hands enough so that he could eat. I told you he's nothing if not generous.
No, this is They're
allowing him to eat.
I feel like by the end of this, I'm going to be on Robbie's side.
Well, here's the thing. It does feel like a little bit of a reverse Stockholm situation because, we talked about this actually just on a recent episode about in Stockholm situations, you start to feel empathy for your captor, right?
Right.
Well, in this situation, Mike doesn't really feel empathy for him. But what's funny is that by the end of it, Robbie thinks Mike has.
Oh, okay.
So he is like, Mike's on my side.
Mike's
a good guy. Mike ends up running the show. It's fascinating.
Okay.
So it is, just keep that in your mind.
Yeah.
It is like a reverse Stockholm syndrome. So Mike's hands are free so that he can eat himself. Wow, that took a dark turn.
Okay, yeah.
Woo! Sorry about that. So that he can eat, but then of course he's able to free himself, right? He tries to escape, and he's actually thwarted by a door that he went to go shut and couldn't shut in time, and both of them overpowered him.
Okay.
So Connie's actively attacking Mike at this point
like
in
a
time.
spider monkey.
Yes, exactly.
Is Connie big or small?
Neither one of them are big people.
Okay.
In Mike, I wouldn't call Mike a small man. I think he's very average. He's tall. He's bigger than Mike and Connie.
Are mean.
Well, I can attest to that. There's lots of people terrified of me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, Brain Bath Jason will tell you that he is partially scared of me.
Feisty. Yeah.
And I think that Mike's in this delicate situation of, okay, I could try to overpower them. First of all, it's 2 against 1.
Right.
Remember that. They have explosives.
Right. Getting blown up would suck.
It really would. It kind of ruins your day, I think. So, for him, he's kind of weighing this. What if, potentially if it was just Robbie, I could maybe overpower him. But what if I lose? The risk is too high.
Plus, you got to tell everybody you got your ass kicked by a woman.
Yeah. And no one wants that. You know what? At that point in time, just let me be blown up. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm never going to live this down.
No, not at all. So when he escapes or tries to escape, this time they tie him with extension cords and duct tape, and they put him on the floor of a dark office until negotiators, we get so far into this, the negotiators are like, I want to talk to Mike and verify that he's
check on Mike.
Exactly, that he's alive. And so Mike uses this time to cleverly make it seem as if he was on Robbie's side. He starts to really talk reason with the negotiators. Like, guys, you got to give us something. You got to help.
Mike is.
Really?
Okay.
Yes. He's a lawyer,
yeah, that's true.
right?
He's thinking on the fly.
He's like, you guys, we got to keep things calm.
We got to do
what are you going to give us? Come on, I'm in here with my client. Let's start negotiating. All right. I love this. And the police did know exactly what Mike was doing and were feeding into it like Mike had some sort of fake power. Okay. So it's such a psychological game, which is just right up my alley. I love it. But Robbie was at this point in time, he's very angry. He's nervous. Tensions between him and Connie are rising. They're bickering a lot.
I love my wife, but I have a feeling her and I would argue if we ever took hostages.
Yeah, I don't.
Because she'd be like, I told you we should. I'm like,
yes, yes. Matt and I could never agree on the right and wrong way to do it.
She's like, are you sure we should tape like this? Or yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, shouldn't we use this?
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, I would be too.
Are you sure you know how to tie a knot?
You left your fingerprints on that, genius. Yeah.
We would totally fight if we ever tried to take a hostage.
Yeah, this is actually reason number one why I won't. It's too much. I'm risking my marriage at that point in time by taking a hostage. Yep. The other thing is, like, Mike was being repeatedly threatened by Connie, which I just have to tell you guys, if you listen to them talk, here it's so aggravating. Like, every time I listen to him talk, I just want to say, you freaking idiot. Like, learn grammar. Yeah. Learn how to have an intelligent conversation. Every other word is the F word.
Oh, sure.
And because of his anger.
He's angry.
But my favorite is when he just kept repeatedly saying, you think I'm stupid? I'm not fucking stupid. I'm like, but your actions are kind of showing that you are, Mike had to listen to him berate and yell at him for hours, which I think is worse than actually being taken hostage.
I'd rather be punched in the face.
Right?
I'm like, God, just kick me or something.
Just picture this man in a white turtleneck
in a camouflage and a white hat, just like
acting like he's got all this dominance and power over you.
You go learn today.
Exactly. And he just kept repeating to Mike, you ruined my life, telling him his sob story over and over again,
And that's even worse when they tell you the story over and over.
Yes,
They could have been whatever. They could have been president if it wasn't for the ex-wife and the man keeping him down.
Exactly. A case 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was a bonus case, I'm not sure. The perpetrator's family actually testified in court that had he not been a murderer, he would have been President West.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yes. So
I often ask people, I'm like, were you not hugged enough as a child?
Is that what happened? I think that this is maybe what happened to good old Robbie. Derzotic here. He just, oh gosh. At one point, he comes into the office and was going to make Mike swallow all the keys for all of the places that he lived. Because he had to move so frequently.
Which
because
was someone else's fault.
Well, right. Not, because of all of his fifth felony that Mike helped him get. Not the other four. Not the previous four. Just that fifth one. And so all the places that he's lived since getting out of prison, which has been about 5 years now. Okay. It took him 5 years of anger, resentment, obsession.
Planning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. New wife. Right. I mean, that stuff takes time. He had to court
Connie. That took a little while.
It did. Especially got to work through her trauma, right? So, certainly. And he was going to make Mike swallow every one of those keys so that Mike could also endure the pain that he has had by living in all these places.
Can pass a key.
Like
when little kids eat pennies?
Right. I had the same thought. I would think that maybe some you could. It depends on how big a key we're talking.
Depends on how it's cut, yeah.
Right, and how big's Mike's asshole? Because I'm just not sure. Yeah, no disrespect, Mike.
No, we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds just want to know these things. Yes, so he luckily didn't have to swallow any of the keys. These are just some of his threats that he was making, okay? And as the night goes on, this ends up being a 24-hour hostage situation, okay? But as the night goes on, his demands start getting increasingly weirder and weirder because his mental stability. Has he asked for a
helicopter yet?
Oh, he did want a helicopter at one point. Yeah, and the negotiators are doing a great job of just like telling him, they aren't making him promises, but they are trying to get him to see reason and feel heard. Right. The feeling heard was a big thing. Yeah. We end up going through three negotiators, okay? Because
24 hours, that's,
exactly. Your mental stability wears down.
Oh,
And
sure.
when you hear this guy talk as a negotiator, you can only talk to him for so long before you feel that your brain cells are in jeopardy.
Right.
And then also just that natural human anger. I mean, just some of the snippets that I heard, I was like, oh my God, Jerzotic, I can't stand you. Like, how did people keep their cool talking to you and not just be like, please, Darwinism.
Can I come in and blow myself up?
Yes.
Too?
Like, this is awful, man. Where are you on the evolutionary chain? You are you're so far off it that there's not even a place for you on the spectrum anymore.
Knuckle draggers,
Oh, it's worse that cavemen would have looked at him and been like, dude, you're giving us a bad reputation. Essentially, Mike is like, I realized when we started the negotiations with the Georgia Bureau of Investigators, when we started those and I was he was listing his list of demands, he realizes this isn't just an angry man. This is a mentally unstable man. Right. Because number one, he listed 10 people that he wanted to be able to kill. This is all throughout the negotiations. Right. Okay. There's not a good script that I could find to tell you the whole, I mean, this is 24 hours of footage. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when he first expressed his demands, it was that he's got a list, 10,
kill list.
Yep, okay. A kill list. Number 9 on the list was Michael Jackson.
Oh.
I mean, what Mikey do to you?
I was going to say, what Mikey, yeah.
Number 10 was George Bush.
Okay.
So, which, I mean, a lot of people want to kill the president. It's awful. Like, don't do that, though.
But why Michael Jackson?
Well, but exactly. I'm sure he probably thought his music was the devil.
Could be.
All right. Well, this is a tiny white man from Georgia.
Plus, Mikey was a little handsy, allegedly.
Right. So, well, and this is 2006. So would that have been about the time that those allegations were coming out? Yeah.
I mean, he bad touched the Home Alone kid. Maybe that was the reason for it.
Maybe, because maybe he loves him some Macaulay Culkin.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that at that point, Mike gave an interview that was like, yeah, it was at the point we got to Michael Jackson that I realized he's not
Things
sane. Yeah. Somebody having the president on their kill list.
Oh, sure, people will throw that on. But
Michael Jackson, all right. And he also said that he noticed there was like this glazed look in his eye. You know, that far away. Yeah. We know all too familiar with that glazed look. And the interesting thing about Mike Hostilo is that he actually is the son of a career Marine and a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
And his mother is a Japanese survivor from the bombing of Hiroshima.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So Mike comes from
pretty tough stock.
Yes. Yeah. Resilient stock, right? And so I think that even brings into how he's able to keep himself calm enough to get that right opportunity to get the upper hand.
Sure.
Now, things do get worse for the police when they gave a press conference at like 4 p.m. or something like that. And of course, the press make Robbie sound like a madman, and his tiny little man feelings got hurt. Now he's mad, and he is demanded that they clear it up, that he is not a crazy hostage, taker. Right. He just wants justice. Why won't you see this for what it is? Yes, I've told you that I've got bombs in here. I'm willing to
and I want to kill Michael Jackson.
Yes, and my wife, myself, this Mike guy, because it's all his fault that I'm a felon. Right. And
5-time felon.
Right. What's not sane about that?
Yeah.
I mean, what can you people not see?
So the news is like, this dude is nuts.
Absolutely, and they're bringing up his prior bad acts. They're bringing up his history, right? And they're laying it out like it is. Like, this is a dude.
This is not helping.
And not to mention the fact, when you take people hostage, you're not sane. You're not going to be seen by society as a sane.
Right.
No. And your demands just don't make it. I mean, forget the kill list, but just your demands in general of, I want my record expunged, I want my freedom, and I want a new trial.
Yeah.
Well, hold
not
on.
Going to happen. None of that.
Right. So 12 hours in, a new negotiator, Lieutenant Andy Carrier, comes in, okay? Robbie's on edge at this point because now they have to build new trust and rapport with this new negotiator, right? He says, I want a judge to sign a letter saying that I can have a new trial. And so the negotiator's like, okay, well, listen, I can't just go knocking on doors and getting a judge to, sign this. And he's like, I need you to kind of give me something here. I need you... How about you bring out a duffel bag with some of the weapons? We've got to have a good faith exchange before I'm going to have a judge sign. Yeah, if you want something from me, I want something from you. And you're not giving me Mike. So give me a duffel bag with some of the weapons. And he's like, listen, all right, I will give you this duffel bag with some weapons, but you just remember, I am not stable. I am under a lot of stress. I am tired and I am wired.
That's what he
That
said.
is what he said.
I'm tired and I am wired.
That is a direct quote.
Woo!
Yes.
I would have edited it with that. I am tired and I'm wired. Then like, woo! Just an old, yeah.
Because we're like 13, 14 hours in at this point in time.
Any drugs on board? Is that ever discussed? No?
No. Listen, I can throw you more of a bone if you've got a drug addiction.
Yeah,
but this man doesn't even have that.
He's just
He's
up
angry.
on crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
He is tired and he is wired. and you know what? I think I'm going to start saying that after a couple of cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'm tired and I'm wired.
Listen,
And
I'm
then,
under
like I
a
said,
lot
end
of
it with,
stress.
Yeah, every time.
It's just going to be a new
Who
thing.
wants some? Woo! Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I can see it now. It's going to become our new motto.
Yeah. Tired and wired.
Tired and I'm wired.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his direct quote.
I love it.
And he admits he's
I'd
not
like
stable.
to have that on a t-shirt.
Right. I am not stable. I am under a lot of stress. I am tired and I'm wired. That says it all.
Oh, man.
So, this is where Mike's savvy comes into play. As he is also negotiating with the police for his own hostage situation, by the way.
That is awesome.
He's like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to them because my next door neighbor is a
judge.
He's a lawyer who now actually turns into a judge. Okay. Yes. So Lovett Bennett turns into an attorney, or a judge, but at this point in time he is an attorney.
Okay.
But he's not a trained negotiator. Okay. Just so you know, he actually is a next door neighbor to Mike. So he's like, let's get Lovett Bennett on the phone and let's start negotiating with him.
Working on this.
Yep. Like, Robbie, I'm going to get you an attorney that you can trust because obviously I sucked.
right, yeah.
I was awful. So let's get him on the phone. And what's ironic is that Lovett Bennett gives an interview and he's like, listen, I am not a trained negotiator. I read one article about 2 months before this happened about hostage situations for no reason. He was probably sitting on the can when he did it,
like,
you know?
I'll read this.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he's like, I learned that you don't ever use the words like kill, death, harm. You know, don't subconsciously put those thoughts in there.
You're not going to kill anyone, are you?
Right. I mean, now that you say that, it sounds like a good idea.
I wasn't going to.
Right. So he's like, that's the only thing he remembers from the article.
Don't say kill.
Don't say anything about that. And so he gets on the phone. And that is who he starts talking first with Mike and then with Robbie. And they start to like figure out, like, it looks like they're all in it together. Okay. Like Lovett is helping Mike and Robbie, and this is all going to be okay. As I mentioned before, Connie is in this just as much as Robbie is, and she actually pissed me off. She's
still mad because she doesn't have her own hostage.
Probably,
she kind of got over that.
Probably, and you know what I think it boils down to? It turns into this like power struggle almost. Like she wants to be seen as I have authority here too. I'm not just the little woman, okay?
Right.
That's here just to cater to get the food. Now that Mike especially is really like taking there's a power shift, you know? So when you listen to different audio with her talking, she starts like getting really aggressive with the negotiators, and she's like, you know what? She'll grab the phone right from Robbie.
Oh, take it from him?
Yes.
Oh, my
and it's
God.
like, to the negotiators, and she's like, your attitude needs to change. That is not how you speak to us. Like,
my wife will be like, you need to call the cable company, right? I'm like, fine, I'll call the cable company. But the whole time she's over there going, tell him this, tell him that, tell him this, tell him that. I can see that.
Yes, like, and aren't you like, why didn't you call the cable company?
Tell him I want a helicopter. Yeah, well, you know some, yeah.
That's exactly what was going on.
Oh, my God.
And she was full on taking the phone and berating the negotiators. And she's just like,
you need to change your attitude.
Nope, we are hanging up right now because you are not going to talk to us like that.
I wonder when she hangs
your
up.
attitude.
Oh, Robbie's like, God damn it, woman.
I had him where I wanted him, Connie.
Yeah.
Man, you
I was
fucked it up.
this close.
Come on. This was my favorite. My favorite. She actually gets on, tells the negotiator, your attitude needs to change, and then says, Read your manual. That is not how you talk to me. Read your manual. We are done for the night.
So
yeah,
Connie got on the World Wide Web, and she's like, hostage negotiation
manual. Yes. This is not what you learned in Negotiation 101. You do not talk to me like that.
Took her a little while because she has to read out loud and sound out the words. But
exactly. Then she tells them, because they are 17 hours in and they are asking for the weapons at this point in time. Like, okay, we've got this lawyer that's going to write this stuff up for you and take it to a judge to sign for a new trial. We want all the weapons. Yep. All right. And after she's yelling at him about, the manual and their attitude, she's done, you need to get patience. You have no patience. We are going to be done for the night because you have no patience. Bitch, we are 17 hours in.
17 hours, yeah.
What? Tell me one thing that you can do for 17 hours straight besides sleeping that you don't get sick of.
You're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And don't even say sex because no one's having that.
No. I'd be like...
No, 15 minutes. And I'm like, all right.
yeah.
I haven't done enough yoga for this today. Yeah. So
we're going to need to take a little break.
Let's go. Yeah. No, 17 hours have passed and she's telling them to get more patience, which she annoyed the piss out of me
can you
this
imagine?
Whole situation.
I know, I've thrown stuff and I imagine the negotiators are like, they're snapping pencil.
Absolutely. Because they feel that they are also being held hostage by two people who have got to be some of the most unintelligent people they have dealt with.
Dumb people will exhaust you.
They do. That's why they still run the world. You know that, right? Because the smarter people are just like, I can't. Yeah. I can't engage with you. You exhaust me.
You realize this is time I can't ever get back.
Ever. No. I'd rather watch an episode of Jersey Shore on repeat. I'm not a fan of reality TV. No.
Oh God.
But then deal with this, okay? And sorry for any Jersey Shore fans that I may have offended. It's just not my bag. But
Cabs is here. That's my Jersey Shore impression.
I'm not into reality TV because it's not real anyway. But
my wife loves it. And I'm not knocking. It sounds like I'm knocking them. I love my wife to death.
Oh, of course.
But she's a huge reality TV.
A lot of people do. It's a good way to unwind and to be entertained, which is the whole reason
it's
it was
entertaining,
created.
But it's not real.
No,
it's not reality.
It is not. But I can see how it could be entertaining. Sure. But for me and the job that I do as a social worker, I'm like, I deal enough with this. Yeah. I don't need to keep going. So after 18 hours, Mike and the attorney, Mr. Bennett, convince Robbie Brower to surrender, claiming that the FBI
got the big boys involved.
Well, they only give the little guys so much time to negotiate. And if they're not successful, then they take over and it's going to become a federal case, which means a bigger sentence, Robbie. Yep. You don't want this.
Nicer prisons from what I understand.
Sure.
But a longer sentence.
Yeah, you don't want it to be they're like, you don't want this in the hands of the feds. Like, come on. We're on a time crunch.
Once they come in,
Which also, by the way, is not true.
Right.
But they, they're letting him believe that. So 6 a.m., January 17th, they attempt to come out.
Attempt.
Right. The negotiator this is what it was described as. The negotiator does not have a chance to effectively communicate with the surrounding SWAT team.
Oh.
Okay. So what the negotiator really wanted to tell the SWAT team is tread lightly.
Right.
All right. She's already upset about our patients. And, don't talk to me like that. They want the power, right? You don't come at me. I'm the one coming at you, right? So really the negotiator wanted to have a moment with SWAT to say, hey, let's tread this like we're trying to catch a scared kitten.
Yeah.
All right?
Which most of your goon squads are not that. No.
And they behave exactly as you would expect them to. All right. So we've got the three, we've got Connie and Robbie, and Mike is in the middle.
Okay. And
they come out with their hands up, but they're all forcing Mike to hold each one of their hands. All right.
Okay.
So both of Mike's hands are up, and the other people have their hands up, but they're holding onto Mike's hand. They go into the middle of the street, and the SWAT team starts demanding that they get on their knees. It's very intense. They do get on their knees, But this causes Robbie to panic. He's a mentally unstable man and has been up for 24 hours.
And in my experience, it's like, get on your knees, hands up, down on the ground, stand up, don't look at me, look at me.
Exactly. Pray to Jesus.
Everybody's yelling something different.
Yeah, and that's exactly what was happening. So he panics. Where he panicked, and I found this interesting too, but the way the human brain works is that when they were on his knees, and I like that you're just like, everyone's giving different demands. Yeah. When they were on their knees, they also told them to cross their legs behind their back.
Yep.
Robbie can't physically do that.
Oh,
and
is his
so
little legs,
he panicked. I don't think he's been doing his yoga. You know what? What is it in Zombieland? Rule number, like, whatever.
Cardio. Rule number cardio.
And stretching.
Yeah.
He always
has
has
cardio.
the stretching. Yeah. So he's not flexible enough to do this with his calves, and he panics because I think he's afraid he's going to be shot at if he doesn't comply with every order.
Crosses, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he then grabs Mike by the neck, and at the same time that he does that, a SWAT goon fires a shot and misses.
Oh.
So you know that's not going to go well, right?
No.
Now we're all mad. Yeah. We're all mad. And so he's got Mike by the neck, pulls him down on top of him, using him as a human shield, naturally. Then he stands up with Mike, still using him as a shield, and they get back at the building. Oh, and you can only imagine what the negotiator, but he got right on the horn. And he's screaming, you could have shot my wife. You could have shot my wife. He is just all of the things that he's screaming and demanding. And he was like, you know what? That's not, you want war? You got war now.
Now it's on.
All right. My favorite quote at this point in time is when he says, if you kill me, there will be war. And I'm thinking, honey, if they kill you, it's over, actually.
If they kill you, you're dead.
But that's how delusional he is in this moment. And he's like, you guys have until 8 a.m. He is screaming it, much like how a 2-year-old who knows that they've lost control.
Yeah, but they're like, It's like, well, this is it.
Yep. And so now you've got till 8 a.m. to give me
where's
what
Connie?
I want.
Connie make it back in the house?
Oh, yes, she is. She's back in the building. Okay. She's back in the building, and she is yelling at them, I am not stupid, which I'm wondering if stupid means something different in Georgia, because from where I'm sitting, they both look...
Yeah, well, most stupid people will tell you they're not stupid.
Right. Whereas I'm pretty willing to admit there are lots of things that I'm pretty ignorant about.
I don't know how to do this.
Not sure. So Mike Hostilo went walking with arms up. Mike Hostilo talks about how when he went out walking with arms up, you can so tell the difference between me talking and remembering this case and me reading my stupid notes here. But he was talking about how when he walked out there, he's like, this is it. This is how I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to get caught in crossfire, or Robbie himself is going to let an explosive off. Because, of course, he's making threats that in these camo pants that he has all kinds of weaponry.
Pockets, yeah.
You know, I mean.
Who doesn't like cargo pants?
I'm thinking at most he had snacks, but I don't know.
I love cargo pants.
For the reason
like
that you can carry,
shorts.
You can carry a lot of shit.
White man's dream.
Absolutely. And you'd want to know what? It's a middle-aged white woman's dream to have her husband wear them because
I got
hold
everything.
my phone, honey. Hold my chapstick.
Yep.
Hold my car keys with the anal beads on them. You know those cute beads?
I'm like, I don't have any,
No, but those
car keys, and I'm like, anal on your car keys?
That is what they look like, though. I do.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's like these rubber keychain things that you can put on your car keys to make. I have them on my keys actually to make it easier for me to find them in my purse.
Yes,
but
they are very similar too.
They do have that spherical, smooth shape to them. And so my husband refuses. He unhooks them every time he's in charge of the keys because he's like, no, I'm not going into the grocery store with anal beads around anywhere on my body. It's not happening. I'm like, you're too sensitive. Come on. It's fun. Have fun with it.
Just have fun, yeah.
Gosh. The elderly checkout lady, just wink at her when you bring them out. Come on, man. Live a little.
Take him out and be like, real slow.
Feeling everyone. Yeah. Well, 24 hours in, Wes, they surrender.
Okay.
All right, because the negotiator himself, Mr. Carrier, he agrees. SWAT's off. I will be the one to walk into the street.
Home.
We did. Yeah. We did. You're right. They were too aggressive.
Somebody probably wasn't on SWAT too long after that.
I'm probably not. I mean, to be honest, probably not. They described it as a miscommunication, but you know how those things go.
Yeah.
So the negotiator is like, I will be the one. I'm going to walk out into the street with you guys, with also I think the attorney was there, but he didn't have to come up with them. And he tells Robbie, I'm going to shake your hand before I put it in handcuffs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like a respect.
That's a boss move.
Yeah, it's a mutual respect.
Yep.
You're giving up. And, we've got these terms. Mr. Lovelet has let you know that, we're going to try to get you a new trial. People, that's not true.
Right.
We can't get him a new, no. But he's finally willing to do that. And he does. He walks out. All three of them walk out. They are not holding Mike at this point in time. They all walk out almost as like equals. Okay. They did take off their camo jackets.
Still got the turtlenecks though?
Still got the turtlenecks
still
on.
Good.
Absolutely. Looking svelte for the cameras. And they've got their fatigues, their cargo pants on. And they come out and he does shake Robbie's hand. Mr. Carrier does shake Robbie's hand before putting it in handcuffs. The reaction, the aftermath here, Connie's sister talked to the press and said, yeah, we were all pretty shocked to see my sister on the news, that she was holding someone hostage because Connie had no previous record.
At all?
No.
Really?
No. Here she is, like 37 years
Never
old.
Never been in trouble?
No. Nope. Or maybe she's in her early 40s. Sorry, she's 44. Yep. At this point in time, Robbie is 45. She's 44. Had never been in trouble before. And actually, her sister, whose name was Mary Yolanis, says, quote, our mother had died the year before, and my family all agreed it was a good thing she wasn't here to see this, end quote. Like, yeah. And actually, Mary said, she never really liked Robbie. He was an angry man. He in that much was very obvious. Right. Even before talking about how he was just angry. He wasn't just angry at Mike Hostilo.
He was angry at
everyone.
Everybody,
the whole world. Yeah. Yep, exactly. But Mary says, I firmly believe that Connie went into that law office that day to keep her husband from getting himself killed. Because she had already been through one husband
that's true.
Being killed.
She's like, well, I can't let Robbie get killed.
And here's
because he's kind of a dumbass.
Absolutely, that's just it.
If I don't go with him, he's going to get killed.
Yep. And she had already survived one husband completing suicide. Right. And Robbie was very, very clear that he was willing to die by suicide by cop, essentially is what this is, for this cause. And so she didn't want to see it happen a second time. So, all right, I'm going to throw Connie that one bone.
Give her that bone.
I'm going to give her that. But when we get mob mentality going on in there and all of a sudden she's taking over, like she's got the big dick energy, right. I was just like, Connie, honey, whoa, you didn't
dial it back.
You weren't just sitting there and like a little mouse in the corner making sure you didn't die. You took an active part in this. So in 2008, Robbie Brower, who was 45 at the time, was sentenced to 85 years in prison. He'd already served his 5 years.
He probably was off his probation too.
Yes, because it was 11 or it was 5 years after his release. Absolutely.
He could have just.
This is a perfect example of how we are one choice away from a different life.
Oh yeah.
Like you didn't need to do this. Now Connie, who was 44 at the time, got 65 years. But she will likely see parole eventually because she didn't have a prior criminal history. And as long as she doesn't shack herself up with another man who wants to take people hostages, she's more than likely not gonna. And she never harmed anybody. Right. I mean, and here's the real truth of it all. There were no actual weapons.
There was no actual weapon? No?
No. So the charges were for whatever. Did I write it down? We might get to it, but it was instead of, having an actual weapon, it was the disguise of a weapon, making people believe that you had one, which is just as scary and traumatizing.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so it's still serious.
You don't know,
yep,
right.
Yep. Before Judge Peed handed down the sentences, both Robbie and Connie Brower took the stand. Connie said, I would like to apologize. I now know that the way we went about it was wrong. I didn't realize how far it was going to go to be of this magnitude. I've never been in trouble before. I've never done anything like this, but I always stuck by my husband no matter what.
Ride or die.
gosh.
Connie is ride or die.
You know, and there are probably men out there that are like, damn, you know, it wouldn't be bad to have me a woman like Connie, just faithful to the end, no matter how stupid of a plan I have devised. Now, Robbie Brower asked the judge to be merciful in sentencing his wife and actually said, this was my fault and I involved her. Only accountability you'll ever see the man take. But then he reiterated how his main goal was to have his 1995 hammer attack conviction overturned.
He still can't get over it.
Still explaining again that Mike Hostilo misrepresented him and gave him poor advice, resulting in his pleading guilty to the offense that he was not guilty. I know.
Right to the end.
Right to the end. He also spoke of his daughter, Brittany, who was 14 at the time of his sentencing, and who he had lost custody of, telling the judge it was because of that 1995 conviction
that's why that happened.
Yep. And he said, I'm really sorry. The other thing is that the whole town, or the whole county, excuse me, was like shut down by this. It's Bullock County in Georgia. And so the media had kind of talked about, and the judge had talked about, like, this was an attack on our county.
Right.
You know, if you had explosive devices, it would have could have potentially done damage to the whole city, you know, things like that. And so he said, I'm really sorry it happened here. It wasn't an attack on Bullock County. But of course, the prosecutors disagreed with that. And the judge said the Browers held Statesboro under siege. Essentially, that was the city. And you can't overlook people doing that.
Yeah,
like you have to take all of that into consideration as well. And so even after the sentencing, Derzadik refused to admit that he was wrong in kidnapping Mike Hostilo. He never ever thought what he did was wrong. And frankly, Connie didn't either, because he apologized for kidnapping the 3 secretaries, but would not apologize for kidnapping Mike Hostilo. And so the prosecutors are like, he just still doesn't get it. And Connie doesn't either, because she was like, I see now that we went about it the wrong way. But she never actually says sorry for Mike for kidnapping you or for the trauma.
Maybe done it a little different.
Yeah. It was just like, we went about it wrong. Like, you mean kidnapping? Holding someone against their will? I mean, I guess technically it wasn't a kidnapping because they didn't take him off site, but they held him against his will.
I'd say, it's an unlawful imprisonment, or however they describe it.
Yes, exactly. Now, in prison, I still have some more aftermath for you. In prison, Connie Brower underwent a religious conversion. She studies theology, and she shares her cautionary tale.
Really?
Yep. She tells others, think about not only what you're going to do to yourself, but to your family and what it could bring for years to come.
Whoa.
She composed her thoughts and shared them on a prison ministry volunteer website.
Really?
Yep. And I'm going to read it, guys. I'm going to read it to you to give you some insight here. And this is a direct quote, so here it goes. Ow, I'm bleeding. Wow. I'm sitting here in my cell looking at the blood coming from my finger that I cut with a piece of paper. A paper cut. Imagine that. I'm a prisoner and I bleed. I remember when I was in the free world, I thought everyone behind bars was supposed to be there. That they were just an anonymous body. That they didn't deserve anything because they were really bad and they didn't matter. Good, they're off the streets. I mean, they are criminals, right? They don't hurt. They don't have feelings. And I've never thought of them bleeding. Well, about 10 years ago, I learned something totally different. People behind bars do bleed. They do have feelings and they do hurt. And that people behind bars are not just anonymous bodies. In this Georgia state prison, there are people who have done terrible things and many who didn't. Some are here for drugs. Others for murder, some in the wrong place at the wrong time situations, and others for aggravated assault. Yet, there are people who were party to the crime, and believe it or not, there are people in here who are totally innocent. Who would have thunk? That's what it actually says.
It says, who would have thunk?
I feel like we're watching this woman have a self-realization that she's a human. I don't know what's happening here. She says, I cannot say, really, that I am glad I am in here away from my family and loved ones, but I can say that being here has opened my eyes to a lot of things. One of those things is that nothing that I could have done, there was nothing that I could have done to make things better in the situation like I thought I could. Yeah. In 1999, my late husband committed suicide in the same room, same bed that I was in the day after Thanksgiving. The light was off. He was mad. I heard the gun go off, and I jumped up out of bed to turn the light on, and he was laying there helpless and jerkily shaking. It was very devastating and heart-wrenching. I tried so hard to keep him through all his suicide attempts, but the day he was diagnosed as being bipolar in 1994, from the day that he was diagnosed. This time, I couldn't help no matter how hard I tried. In 2006, when my second husband, also bipolar, decided he couldn't take missing his daughter anymore and said he wanted to get justice from the lawyer who misrepresented him in court a decade or so earlier, he had written the President of the U.S. and others, but to no avail. He then decided to act upon it himself. So when he was going to go get justice from his lawyer, and if he didn't, he was going to commit suicide by cop, suddenly I couldn't see anything else but to be there with him so he didn't die and that no one else got hurt. I thought I could help. I certainly couldn't sit in front of the television watching to see my husband get shot. I did not want to lose another husband. I really did try to help Mr. Hostilo. He stated that he was diabetic and took pills twice a day. I tried to help by getting him his pills. They were brought to the scene, but they would not give them to him. So again, I felt uneasy. So it's the police's fault. They brought his diabetic pills to him, but they would not give them to me so that I could give them to him.
It's all their fault, yeah.
There was nothing I could do for this man. That's what she says. One of my sisters asked me, Connie, what did you think was going to happen? What did you expect? I told her, I didn't think. I couldn't see beyond making sure I didn't bury another husband and concerned to see that no one else got hurt. Okay, but Connie, why'd you want to take one of the chicks?
Right.
Robbie didn't want to take one of the girls.
Yeah.
You did.
You wanted your own hostage,
Mm-hmm. I cannot begin to explain how remorseful I am of what the women in the office must have felt those 15 or 20 minutes before they were being released. I know they were scared because I was scared. I would have never even thought about doing anything like this before in my whole life, but I was just caught in this thing. I pray for these women. Okay,
Connie.
I know most people think that people while incarcerated get jailhouse religion. And I can't say that they are totally wrong. I'm not religious, nor do I claim to be. What I am is a new creation in Christ. I thank God for allowing me to see what a grip codependency had on me. Good.
Okay.
Counseling has probably helped with that.
Yeah, she's had, yeah.
Uh-huh. And how the trauma I experienced with my first husband affected me with my second. Yep. I allowed God to change me and mold me. Here I am in prison and a whole new world. I feel very blessed to have met some of the people in here. I am not sure if I have ever heard that God blesses people through people, but I believe that wholeheartedly. I've learned that there are wonderful women in here and also that there are volunteers who pray to come in and help us. I joined a group called Kairos, Kairos, meaning God's time. And my eyes were again opened. The very first time I received a hug from a Kairos volunteer who not only gave me her time, but also her heart, I broke down and cried because everything in here is hard. From the seats to the beds to the guards. So when you get some softness in any form, it penetrates the shields that we are forced to put up to guard our own hearts. That makes sense to me. That was profound. I'll give Connie that profound. One.
That's pretty deep.
Yep, you're right. Everything is hard in there. I thank God that I'm able to see from an open heart, which cannot help but open my eyes. And then she said, Jesus said, there's a script, sure, but she said, blah, 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 blah. As she ended it, she just did a scripture, Matthew 25, and then said, how blind I was. Mm-hmm. So that's how Connie is spending her time in prison. Robbie spent his time in prison, once again exhausting his appeals. Yep, until 2020 when he died of causes that I could not find, nor do I really care. Yeah, yep. Now, as for, so Derzadik's no longer with us.
Yep.
Connie has found some profound thoughts and some religion in prison, so hopefully that's going well for her. And Now on to Mike Hostilo.
Okay, let's see what Mike's up to.
Following the kidnapping, Hostilo naturally became the focus of media attention. Okay. He was even on Larry King Live. But once all the media frenzy went, settled down, he says, and I quote, "I'm the kind of guy that believes everything happens for a reason. For this man to be that livid with me, to want to kill me and do what he did, I must have done something wrong here. In my first stint as a lawyer, I was arrogant and brash because I had a lot of success at a very young age. I was probably in the practice of law for the wrong reasons, financial gain and success. I had lost my way. It changed everything. This time around, when I came back to it, my parents said, you have to practice law for the right reasons. You have to do it because you care about people and you want to help people. So now I have limited my practice to just doing personal injury. Before, I had 2,000 clients. Now I might have 200. It's a lot smaller. My whole perspective on life has changed. I'm a better me. I'm a better person. And I thank Robbie Brower for that. Maybe this was God's way of saying, you better check your ego."
Whoa.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
I think that there might have been a little Stockholm Syndrome going on for their real. Or he's just, listen, as a social worker, there's a lot of things that I mentor people through that I don't agree with them doing, but I understand how they arrived at this decision making that has led them here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't condone it. I hope that I would have chosen differently as a human, but I think for Mike, he's kind of like, wow, I treated this guy, and he didn't give him bad legal advice, right?
Yeah.
But I think he kind of feels like, I guess I didn't hear this. I should have let him go through with the jury trial, right? But think about it. He gave him the advice of, do the 5 years, man. This is the best you're going to get. But maybe in seeing like, perhaps I should have just let him go through with the jury trial, let it land how it was going to land, and then he only had himself to blame.
Right.
Which he wouldn't have.
A
man like Robbie wouldn't have.
He wouldn't have, unfortunately.
Yes, but it's kind of changed his perspective on law, I think.
Interesting.
So, yes. So that is the case.
That is very
no
interesting.
No one died. I didn't bring you any murder.
No, I thought maybe somebody was gonna. But no,
I know. No, it's been a really long time since we've done a case where there wasn't any actual murder.
Died.
Now, the one we're about to record for the Patreons for bonus episode is not the same.
Not the case.
I can't say the same for that. But I do have a brain bath for you that was sent to us by Patreon Brian before I let you go here for this episode. The title really draws you in. Okay. Because if you saw this on your phone, you would have clicked it too.
You'd be like, I should check this out.
Man busted putting antiques up his butt and then back on the shelf.
Okay.
And,
all right.
And there is a lovely picture of a dude. I can't verify that this is a dude's ass with the thong hanging out and a tramp stamp. Which, by the way, I'm sorry that society calls them that.
Tramp stamps,
if you have a tattoo on your lower back, more power to you. I don't, but I mean, I grew up in the era where it was popular. I was one decision away from joining that. Yeah. Well, this is the article. It says, if you're looking for another reason to be a homebody and never leave the house, we've got you covered. A man in Texas was busted putting antiques up his butt before putting them back on the shelf. Can you imagine having to shop for items after that? Are you telling me anything I grab at my local store
could have butt juice on it?
Could have been up somebody's butt. Yes.
What kind of antique? What was he putting up his butt?
Oh, I think we get to it here in Spring, Texas. The whole thing was captured on surveillance footage in an antique store in Spring, Texas. In the video, the male customer is wearing a kilt and concealing items under his clothes before returning them back to the shelf. According to Fox 26 Houston, Susan Golden, the manager of the Antique Gallery of Houston, said, quote, I had to watch it a couple of times to be sure I knew what I was looking at, end quote. Golden says in 2 decades of running the store, she's never seen anything like this. Thank God. Well, so it's not that common. Good.
That's something where somebody's shoving stuff up their butt. And you're like, oh, God, not again.
Another one? Yeah. The cameras spotted him doing this in several sections of the store after it was brought to management's attention by a dealer, meaning an antique dealer.
Right.
The items are estimated to be worth close to $200.
Whoa.
Turns out he wasn't alone. He was joined in the store by a female companion. The two of them reportedly spent hours in the store but didn't make any purchases. Okay. So it looks like he has a thing for doing this in antique shops in the area.
Oh, so that, okay.
Oh, God, he's a habitual offender.
Really?
Oh, gosh. Fox 26 Houston reports that he has been spotted in other antique stores in Galveston and Tomball. The shop has removed the items from the shelves and has sanitized the gallery. Thank you. Good. Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good.
Yep. There is a video. Yes. So that is good. He was identified. He was arrested. And so now if he would like to shove things up his butt, he's going to have to do it in different parts.
So did he ever say why?
I think we know why, Wes.
Well,
I don't think we need to hear his.
No.
Listen, a lot of people like to go to antique shops because they can feel the energy, from the old owners of the things. So I think that he's just like, what's the best orifice to absorb the energy?
Yeah, if you're going to get the energy.
Yep, of great grandma June, who owned this candlestick. Yeah, before now. I don't know. That's just one theory I have.
It's a good theory.
But, okay, I think we all know that this is their sexy little kink.
Oh, yeah.
That they go and do together and then go home and have themselves an amazing time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
He was not trying to steal
like
them.
home,
like, think about this, guys. He wasn't trying to steal anything.
It. This was all.
He wanted to defile it while pleasuring himself.
And then she's getting into it too.
Yeah. My God.
That's just weird.
Women need to. Why do we follow men around in their ideas? Men follow women.
Like
too.
you're like, yeah, you're home and you're doing normal sex stuff. Like, you know what I'd really get into?
Yeah.
I'd like to go to the antique store and shove stuff up my butt.
Yeah, and put it back on the shelf.
And then put it back on the shelf. I don't want to steal. Yeah, I'm not stealing it.
I'm not a criminal. But I don't want to steal it.
I'm a free spirit. Yes. I like to experiment. I'm open to different things, but I'm not a thief.
I'm not a thief. I mean, that is crossing a line. But I do get off on the fact that...
And the kilt makes sense because then you got easy access.
Sure. That was some forward thinking. Man. We call that premeditation.
I'll tell you what, you'd have to be relaxed. Like, you'd have to not tense up.
One would think. Also, what items? How many of those items in an antique shop could one fit in one's butthole?
That's the thing. You said candlestick. That probably would be accurate.
That was the first antique-y thing that I could think of, but there's a lot of sphincter exploration that happens. I don't know what else there could have been. He certainly wasn't getting old records up there.
No.
Oh my God, antique silverware.
Oh.
And then people eat off it. No, they just put it in a cabinet, right?
What? I think most times
I don't know why people collect antiques. Do they use that, or are they just a conversation piece? Oh my God.
Oh, like spoons and...
Yes. Look at this 1920s spoon. May or may not have been up a white man's ass.
Jewelry.
Jewelry. Necklaces.
Pearl.
Now we know. Yeah. And then unsuspecting woman is wearing it to,
and it's got
a gala.
Like I said, it's got butt juice on it.
It does. Oh. Yeah, you don't wash jewelry before you put it on. I mean, at least I don't. I'm gonna now. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
My pearl necklace is gonna get lots of wash.
I'm just trying to think of all the things I see in antique, when we go to the antique, like the Daisy Rider BB guns. I don't know why that's stuck in my head.
Oh, shoot. I mean, and that's got a little... What if there is a BB that was not, taken out of there, wasn't properly cleaned? That could be dangerous. It could be very dangerous. I don't think it'd kill you, but it would certainly hurt.
And that's a tough one to explain at the emergency room.
The stories they have. Yeah. I was randomly held hostage on TikTok watching a ER nurse extract a live snake out of a man's ass. Oh. So, yeah, there's some crazy stuff that happens there. No, thank you. This is why I'm a podcaster and a social worker.
Yeah, please don't.
Yep. Yeah, so thanks, Brian, for that story.
Yes,
although now I feel like anything remotely phallic shape or small enough to fit up one's sphincter, I now have to clean.
Yes.
When I get home.
And next time the wife and I, we occasionally will go antiquing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to probably bring it up in the store.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah. Like, hey.
Do you want to know what some people do?
You know what some people do? And then I'll be like, are you into that?
see what
just
she
to see what the
says.
reaction
Yes.
is. I'm guessing I'll spend the rest of the trip in the car.
More than likely. Also, probably going to use one of your favorite lines against you of, were you not hugged enough as a child, Wes? Why would you want to do that? Thank you. And we're very clear on this podcast. We don't we don't stink kinks. But please keep your kinkiness to yourself. Don't affect other people, unsuspecting people.
You want to purchase some things, take them home, do weird stuff.
Consent is everything.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. The general public shouldn't be made victim by your...
Right. And can you imagine watching this guy do that and you're just like,
I know. What do you say? Wes, I want you to put yourself in that position.
The guy putting the...
I knew you were going to ask.
Like I'm the dude doing it?
Nope, you're the guy. You're witnessing it. Do you just go to management or do you approach him?
I'd be like, dude, are you going to buy that?
Yeah. Like you do you, boo.
Yeah.
But you're going to purchase that, right?
Yeah, you can't put it back on the shelf.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I'd be like, ew.
We're all going to watch people more closely now in the store. I guarantee. You're welcome, everyone. You're welcome. Well, thank you, Wes,
thank you.
For the whole population, the tens and tens of people who listen to this.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. We actually have quite a wonderful listener base. So thank you, everybody, for hanging in today, and hope you enjoyed this episode. And yay, no one died.
Yes.
Lots of trauma, but no one
Yay.
died.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, except for Robbie. And that's 2020. Might have been prison COVID. I don't know. But
he could have,
it's gonna
met
happen sometime.
peacefully in his sleep.
Could have been, yes.
Could have been.
Could have mouthed off to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, that was beyond our control.
Right.
Yes. So we hope you all have a great day and that you keep it curious and keep listening. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
You got to say bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
There you go.